Okay, here we go. Sunday again, and if it's Sunday, it must be not your normal Sunday show. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty with my good friend R. Wayne Steiger. Wayne, call me an optimist, but Rex and I did a little prediction show, and we're 6 days in, but I'm still undefeated.
Oh, cool. So what you got, 359 more to go.
That's it. No, not a problem. There ain't no hill for a climber.
You know, as they said, the detective that was checking on the guy who jumped off the 10-story building, and as he was asking people who were on that side, did they hear anything? And the one woman said on the third floor, she said, well, all I heard him say, so far, so good.
So far, so good.
You know, it's that sudden stop that kills you. It's not the jump.
That's the truth, isn't it?
Ain't it so? So, my friend, how is life on your end?
I can't complain. Of course, if I did, it wouldn't do any good and probably would make things worse. But everything is really positive. I think I'm very, very optimistic that 2019 can be a watershed year, not just for me personally, but I think for all of us collectively. Maybe this is a year where we finally start getting our act together. And when we get our act together, maybe we can really begin to start doing some things.
I always say it's unrecognized potential, unlimited opportunity.
Unrecognized potential, unlimited opportunity.
Yep.
I like that. Except, do I go here or do I not go here? Why not? I used to have the problem in my romantic life of dating unrealized potential, hoping for it to work out like you just said, and that doesn't always happen, my friend.
Well, unrecognized potential is just that. It's like, how do you know what you don't know? I think every spirit contains the creation itself, and that is always unrecognized potential coming forth. It never stops.
Right, right. You know, Rex asked me a question yesterday. We did a little show yesterday, and he asked me, what is my definition of hell? What's your definition of hell, Wayne Steiger?
Well, if you believe in the concept of hell, I think number one, I think that's the first trip up. But let's just say,
Philosophically speaking, what's your definition of quote unquote hell?
Life. This life. This life, yeah. There's only one. My wife and I were talking about this. We got in a very deep discussion. And if you look at it, there are several things that become very obvious. Number one, this is not life. This is an illusion. We are told it's life because this is how it's explained to us when we're, quote unquote, born into this. I contend, Jeff, all the evidence shows, all religion shows, all philosophy shows, this is death. We've tried to rationalize it into an experience of life, but no way can you define life in such finite terms of less than 100 years. How can that be life?
You know, you said this once a few months back, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it at the time, but the more I think about it, you may in fact be right that what we're actually living in here is death.
I think it's our sentence.
Yeah.
I really do. Some have a very short, some have a protracted. I watched a video last night someone sent me of a man dying. He was in his 80s. They had set up a camera in the room. They had a hospital bed there. And this was the last 7 minutes of this man's life. And it's very sobering because, number one, you could see the orbs were very active around this man at his point of death. And
really?
Yes. The one that got me the most was that there was an orb that came right out of his abdomen and went up, and you could see it literally. And now that I know what I see, I saw it absolutely transmutate into the next dimension.
No kidding.
Well, I think that's what happens, when you begin to see what's physical. So here was this man. Now, he was Christian, and he was singing Amazing Grace. And,
that's interesting.
And you could hear the death rattle in his breathing. And you could really tell that this man was coming to peace now with the departure. And I told Lynn, I said, I said, look at this. I said, I think this man is getting ready to be set free. And I said, that's what I contend. Now, of course, we have the whole thing going to the light, the recycling thing. But at that moment, you could really see that there was something tangible taking place at that exact moment of departure. So anyway.
So even though he was a Christian, he was finding peace in passing, even though he probably didn't have a real accurate understanding of where he was coming from, where he was going to.
No, I think he was, and I think we all will be there depending on how our departures go. But if it's a natural one where the body just shuts down, you're going to have a lot of time contemplating what's about to take place. Now, if your spirit is pushed out by a blunt force incident, trauma, I don't think that the spirit has time to recognize that departure.
Interesting.
Anyway,
this popped into my head as we were talking. 1 John 3:14. We know that we have passed from death into life because we love the brethren, and he that loveth not the brethren abideth in death. That right there tells us we're in death, doesn't it, Wayne?
It does. And the thing that
podcast later today.
Good. This is truth to me. Now I can accept John's writings because John's a Gnostic.
Right.
And he is absolutely, I think, spot on. I did the whole birthright process, and Jeff, we're all intelligent spirits here. I think we acquire souls that begin to acquire the knowledge. I don't know how that actually works, but there's no way that this is life. Life cannot be defined in such short, finite passages.
Absolutely not. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And guess what else I got my hands on finally, Wayne?
What's that, sir?
That I've been wanting to since I saw it from you. Are you ready for this?
Dun-dun-dun-dun. Look at that. Hey.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
The Book of Gleamings, the Book of Creations. I recommend people read the Book of Creations. Isn't it fascinating?
I just started reading the Book of Creations, and the thing that struck me, it's almost like the Book of Proverbs. Every little verse is like its own little self-contained nugget. And the first 3, I'm like, this is not that great. But then when I got to 4, it's like, oh, I see where they're going with this.
And you can see mine is well indexed, the old analog way. I'm convinced.
Well, this is not mine, and I can tell you it's heavily highlighted as well. So,
well, the person that possesses that book is one of great wisdom. And
you mean the person that used to possess that book?
Well, that's how knowledge is passed on.
That's right. It's mine now.
Just think about it. All the books that we have given away in our life, in this cycle, it's
Wayne, what's even better than buying a good book?
Well,
stealing a good book.
Now that's as funny as all get out. So I was right before we came on live. I was telling you before we went, was filming the ISS. Boy, it's
that's right.
It's getting bright out there. It's big. It's very big. And
so you said it keeps getting bigger. They're building onto it. Can you actually see from your observations that it's bigger than it used to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have enough video that I've been filming it over the years because Denver is literally right in the footprint as it makes its transition from north to south. And
so it's not in geosynchronous orbit then?
Well, I guess no, it is not. No, because it does the creation symbol.
So is it faster than the orbit of the Earth? Is it moving faster than the orbit of the Earth?
17,500 miles an hour. So yes.
Do you know what the orbit of the Earth is?
Yes, it rotates basically at 1,000 miles an hour and moves.
Oh, okay. So it's going 17,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
can I ask you a question, Wayne?
Sure.
What Why are you filming it, just for fun, or are you trying to determine something?
No, I've been filming it over the years. Um, it's fascinating to me as I always look at it. It's a low orbit um, spacecraft. It's not even a spacecraft. You could typically say it's a low orbit atmospheric experiment.
You know why it's low orbit, right, Wayne?
Why is that?
Because it has to stay under the firmament.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Well,
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I right now everything. It's interesting. I've had books in my library, Jeff, and I mean that I haven't ever read. I don't know why I bought them. I did. And lo and behold, I'm digging and I come upon this book. And I don't know if you can see that. It's called The Blue Planet Project. You read this, it's like, all right, I want to cash my chips in. And
What
when
is
I'm,
the Blue Planet Project about?
it, it, it's a compilation of a number of documents dealing with the UFO alien agenda.
Oh, okay.
And, like I said, I keep hearing Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want. You can just never leave.
But you can never
Now
leave.
you got it. And I'm going, crap. Because
That's what they want us to believe, though, but we can leave, Wayne. I'm sure we can.
I think we can. Listen, all right, if you take the position that we are on a prison planet, that we're not the only species here, genus of man, and if the alien agenda, and I contend this way, if you believe in God, then you believe in aliens. So what's your problem? Why
Well,
can't you make
God
the jump?
was, by definition, an extraterrestrial. He came here from somewhere and created this, and it
Yeah,
wasn't here before he got here, so where'd he come from?
exactly. He's an alien.
He is.
Yeah. And, it's like Norman Greenbaum, the spirit in the sky, you know. When I die, I'm going to go up to the spirit in the sky.
So, Wayne, do you remember the Power Hour radio show?
I certainly do.
Is that a decidedly Christian show?
Seem to be, you know. Let me ask, well, that's a good question. All right. So, Robert Schuller, Christian doctrine or more pagan?
Well, back when I was still preaching, I considered him on the pagan side. I went after him
I
up one
see.
side and down the other.
Had this conversation with someone. We were going through almost kind of like trivia of the old preachers back in the day. And, Jim and Tammy. How can everyone not forget Jim and Tammy? They were the best entertainment of the decade.
Wow.
I mean, and it went from there.
Interesting. I just got invited to come back on the Power Hour and talk about the Mandela effect. I think that's like the fourth or fifth time. So I don't know if they don't do much research, because I think if they knew everything that I said, they may not keep asking me to come back.
Well, either it's three buckets here. One, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
We don't care. Two, it is as you say, there is an awakening. Or three, someone just forgot.
I think someone just forgot.
Well, I know this, my friend. As your voice begins to send the harmonics across their airwaves, enlightenment shall be forthcoming.
Well, thank you. And the first time I was with Joyce before she passed.
Mm-hmm.
So now Joyce knows that she was in death, right?
I think how else do you define this? David
Yeah.
Cassidy, it was said that his last words were, "It's not enough time."
David Cassidy, really?
Mm-hmm. Not enough time.
That's interesting.
And I thought, yeah, it really is, isn't it? Not enough
That's
time.
interesting. And speaking of the Mandela effect, I've been given some interesting information regards that of late. I've run into some people, very smart people, that have said that, Wayne, they are remembering both timelines of the Mandela effect. They're not in one or the other. They're remembering both of them as reality.
I'm writing a book. It was up till almost 2 o'clock this morning,
When you've
and
been writing a book for some time.
I have, and it's going to be a good book. So let's step back. You know, one of the things I had this dream.
Zora Dax's parents were friends with David Cassidy in the 80s.
Wow. I think I love you.
Yeah.
Listen, I dug
What
the
am I so
pocket.
afraid of?
Yeah,
And we just read that you pass from death to life because you know you love the brethren.
yeah.
Ooh.
Heavy stuff. I mean, the answers are all right there.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about reincarnation, if you believe in that subject, and it's by evidence, it seems like there may be some foundation to it.
Right.
Here's the cool thing. I told Lynn this last night. I said, I popped up. I said, I never thought about this. And she says, what? I said, imagine reincarnation. No matter how you look at it, you're going to be reincarnated in the future. So no matter what's happening now, you know you're going to be experiencing it in the future, because you don't reincarnate, or do you deincarnate in the past? I don't know.
And then she said, great, Wayne, lay back down and go to sleep.
She says, where the hell do you get this stuff at?
Exactly.
You know? Exactly. So, but think about it.
Hey, by the way, how's Dancer doing? I was just thinking about Dancer this morning before we came on the air.
It's interesting you mention that. Poor little girl was sick the other night, but she's
Aw.
doing good. Yeah, yeah. Love
Good.
that little dog. Isn't it amazing? That dog has shown me that telepathy exists between
Yep.
species.
You were sharing that. And
Yeah.
interesting, too, when I was driving, I've just made a long car trip, and I heard Sean Cassidy several times.
Did you?
Do Ron Ron. I loved
Yeah.
that song when I was a
Yeah.
kid.
Oh man. So getting back to this whole thing about how this whole thing, what is then the purpose of us being here? And I don't know. It's either we're in a prison planet or we've got it all wrong. You know, we're so indoctrinated that no matter what our perceptions are, we view this as life. And so this is life, when in fact, it's probably anything but that. And I can't help but not think, Jeff, that do we really have it wrong? So I'm writing this book, and I'm writing a chapter, and it's called The Delusion of the Other Side. And I said in the book, I write, most people I talk to never stop and consider what they're going to expect on the other side. It's almost as though they assume there's going to be someone there to take care of them, someone there to usher them in. And
that's why they wind up back here again.
I think it is. What if, and that's what I wrote, what if this is really a test to see if you have become sovereign enough to move on?
It's exactly what it's about. I think, and Rex and I were talking about this yesterday too. It's what's the most important thing to learn before you die. And I think the whole reason we're here is to figure out that this really is death, and to get ourselves disassociated from this body being us, so that when this body does give out, we can retain our wits, retain our divinity, our sovereignty, and our freedom about ourselves, to be able to say, oh, okay, the body's dead, I'm still here. Here's my options. It's like Monty Hall, door 1, door 2, door 3, door 4. Which one do I select? That's victory. That's heaven. That's and I think Rex asked me, what's heaven? That's heaven. Retaining your divinity, sovereignty, and freedom at the moment of death, so you make your choice of where you want to go next, and you don't get herded or frightened into a choice made by another entity.
Yeah. I'm prepared to take on whoever I have to face over there, because I have a list of questions. Now, if consciousness is transferred at that moment of the physicality disintegrating and the spirit ascending, then I have to think that somehow or another, the consciousness of my thoughts and memories must somehow transfer over. The fear I may have, if I have a fear, is that we're wiped clean.
Yeah, and I think that's what they again, I think that's where we lose our divinity, our sovereignty, our freedom, is when we allow ourselves to get wiped, because they want to wipe us to bring us back again,
Mm-hmm.
use us again.
Do you see that video I did on spirit wiping? Wow.
I saw bits and pieces of it, Wayne.
Yeah. Jeff, I contend, my friend, something has happened. And all these books I'm now digging up in my library, all the information that seems to be the synchronicity amongst the community, is that everyone now recognizes we have amnesia. We cannot remember our beginnings. So that puts us all, number one, in the same boat, but it also puts us all at the same disadvantage, because anything we think or speculate is just that. And until we can find that key, the key that unlocks it, there's no reason for us not to remember our origins. Unless we're not from here, Jeff. I just contend that many a spirit, and I think I'm one of them, this is not my place of origin.
Yeah. And we used to think that seeing is believing, but now we know that even seeing's not believing necessarily anymore.
Yeah. We live in a day and age where you can't even trust what you see or hear.
Yep. You can't trust what you see with these or hear with these. You've got to be able to see and hear right with this and what's in here. You've got to be able to get past your sensory input. And there's another key, I think, to getting out of this thing and out of death into life, is bypassing your sensory input and beginning to get in touch with your higher self input, your spiritual input.
Yeah, yeah. And it gets back into that whole thing of what is spirit. By the way, Jeff, thank you. Give me one
By the way,
second.
Monday night, Robert Stanley on The Last Stand with Jay and I.
Hey, congratulations. That is really cool.
Robert's always interesting.
Yeah, he is. I enjoy the guy.
Oh, Tracy Dyer says, incarnated equals incarcerated.
Tracy, man, we got to get he or she on. I don't
That's
know
a she.
All right, Tracy, I'd love to have you on the show. I think that's profound.
I think I've asked her before, and she remains silent.
So I have a question for you, my friend.
Maybe she doesn't like me.
Everybody likes you. All right.
I have I'm not going to tell. There's a story in there, Wayne, but we won't talk about that today.
So I'm going to engage on your 20 plus years as an evangelical Pentecostal preacher, evangelist. And so here's a question. Does a spirit need, and this is a two-parter, by the way, does a spirit need to worship another spirit? And can another spirit force another spirit to be subjugated to yet another spirit to be worshipped?
Well, those are really good questions. I think for some reason, a spirit that has not recognized its own divinity, sovereignty, and freedom falls into the trap of worshiping other spirits. And other spirits that ask for worship are in the business of vampirizing, for a lack of a better word, energy. And I think there's kind of like an Amway of vampirization in the spiritual realms, where you get credit for hooking in as many as you get, and you get a piece, you get a piece, you get a piece. So it's like a multi-level enslavement, Wayne.
Yeah.
There's another podcast. I like that one.
Well, I've been meditating on this a lot. And so I think it comes back to this. Whatever I'm going to encounter on the other side, if it demands that I subjugate myself to it, I'm going to have to ask why.
Exactly.
Am I not spirit? And so this begs the question, are all spirits created the same?
Good morning, Tam. First time on this channel. Nice to see you.
Hi, Tam.
Wayne, I contend that anything that asks for or requires worship is not truly divine. So
I know we're going to get ridicule and save your comments, but
I've already been. I had a great one today. It was probably my worst comment It was, I'm so sick of your tranny voice. I've been called a lot of things. That's the first time I've ever been called a tranny.
That's going to have to go into the annals of the top.
I'm going to try to start making a song with the bad comments
There you go. I love
and
that.
do that once a month.
So
You
listen.
can work that into a country song, right?
Oh, I
I'm
think
so
I can
sick of
probably
your tranny voice.
get Ronnie Kicks to take a look at it. So here's the thing, brother. I'm thinking on this. So I don't know if all spirits are created the same. I don't know, how do you measure the power of a spirit? Are there more powerful spirits over other spirits? How is spirit obtained? Obviously, when a spirit is created, which I contend was at the moment of all creation, it could not have come afterwards. A spirit had to be had to be before creation itself. And that's why I contend that we are immortals. And I'm telling you, Jeff, it just may be this simple. We are all gods and we're playing a game.
Yeah, I can see that.
We hate
And
boredom.
instead of the Highlanders said there can be only one. Really, it probably is we can be only one.
We are one.
Yeah.
That's the thing I got. I mean, I wrote it down right here, and it's right here on here. It said, we must remember, I am creator, I am one of many.
And the many are one.
Exactly. We're gods. I mean, what if it's just that simple that we put ourselves into amnesia as a game? We subjugated ourselves to this game knowing ahead of time that you're probably not going to win, but it's the fact that it's better than being bored.
Wayne, I have a problem with the idea that we can't win.
Well, like this. You've been in New York City. I remember back
You know
in
what? I've been on 5 continents, but I have yet to set foot in New York City.
Oh, all right. Well,
That's almost hard to do.
I
But
don't
I've
know how you did
accomplished it.
that. How do
Yeah.
you do that? Yeah.
By flying around in a C-130, they don't usually go to New York City for some
Yeah.
reason.
Well, yeah, to kind of avoid that. Well, here's the thing. Back in the 80s, first time I ever went to New York City, I watched the three card Monte game.
I
And
bet that was fun. What a study in culture.
yeah, and it was quite interesting to see the people who came up to challenge it. So here's a game that they already know. It's like going into Vegas. You already know the odds are against you. Yeah, you're going to take that challenge. You're going to get in there because I can beat the odds.
Yeah. It's like the whole Jim Carrey thing. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Just the chance. As Einstein, and having one of my whiteboards on another wall, that was the 1% factor that Einstein did not want to have to deal with.
But
It
Wayne,
was
I'm
just,
so guilty of that. I'm the guy that says that. So you're telling me there's a chance?
yes. Well, Jeff, it might be interesting to see how many times you have taken that challenge.
Might be even more interesting and take much less time to figure out how many times I've been successful.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. If you're a god, I contend I am. I contend, let's see, Wayne disagree with boredom. That's an assumption of physical time like on Earth. Yeah, but, remember, it was us who created time.
Or is time even real? Even the physicists now are saying that it's not real.
It's an illusion.
Yeah, what do they call it? A box universe. There's 4 points, and you can coordinate. All time is here, both past and present is already here right now.
And that's
So
the point.
Time says the passage of time is an illusion. And great, I love Brenda. I don't know who she is, but she brings in a Star Trek reference, like Captain Kirk said.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fun.
That was his next to last words was, it was fun.
Yeah.
And then he said, oh my, and that was it.
And I contend that time.
And don't tell me Captain Kirk wasn't real.
That most people see time as simply one-dimensional and linear. They see it only as past, present, and future. but that's the illusion. Time, if time does exist, would consist from the XYZ axis going out. You can't have time in one dimension and yet say you live in a third dimensional spatial reality.
And here's Tracy Dyer, always got to throw a monkey wrench into things. She says, well, actually, Kirk hasn't been born yet. So
Shows that time travel's true.
just because she's in his state of birth, she thinks, or from his state of birth, she thinks she's special or something.
But Tracy, I contend on, if we were on a debating team, my counter to that would be, as a spirit, and I actually have this down. So, can a spirit detect time? Is a spirit aware of time? Can spirit have itself both in time and out of time?
I'm sorry, Wayne, but Gary Baxter with the classic line, Jeff, did you know that Captain Kirk became a cop and then a lawyer?
Shatner did?
Well, you know, TJ Hooker
Oh,
and
yes, that's true.
Boston
That's
Legal.
true. Yes, 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 yes. Well, goes to show you.
It does.
Yeah. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like someone just walked over your grave.
And the thing that I'm very disappointed about is that most people don't realize this, but the $6 Million Man, which was a great show, William Shatner was supposed to have that role, but he ate too many Twinkies at the commissary and got bypassed.
There you go. All right. So
He grew too big for the role, Wayne.
he was bigger than the role
He
itself.
was bigger than the role because he ate too many roles.
He was rolling along.
He was.
So here's my golden piece that I challenge everyone. Is a spirit eternal?
Sorry, Wayne. I was
You were.
I missed it because I was being sarcastic. Anyway. What did you just say?
Is a
I was
spirit
fooling around, horsing around. That's what I meant to say.
is a spirit eternal?
Ooh, Jamie Summers. Somebody just said
Jamie.
the Bionic Woman.
Yes.
One of my first crushes. Is a spirit eternal? Yes.
So then that would directly imply that a spirit is immortal.
Absolutely.
All right. So my question is, does a spirit have an end and does a spirit have a beginning? And can a spirit be destroyed?
No, it can't be destroyed. I mean, I think a spirit is, and if David Icke would agree with us on this, and he's going to be on my channel pretty soon. We are an expression of the ultimate divinity. We're an expression of the illimitable divinity. So the divinity can't die or go away. So ergo, neither can we.
Then my next question is, how can a spirit be good or bad?
I don't think a spirit can be good or bad. It can be balanced or unbalanced. Tracy Dyer says she was always the Bionic Woman on the playground when she wasn't one of Charlie's Angels.
Way to go. I love that. So that becomes a conundrum. I mean, we say that there's evil spirits. We say that there are good spirits. We have spirits that serve. And so then it comes down to this. Does a spirit have free will?
Let me address your first question first about good and evil. We all know that energy, everything's made up of energy. And we all know that at its base, energy is neither good nor bad. It just is energy. However, we also know from our observations of the universe and even our small dealings with electricity that energy can be balanced or unbalanced. I contend both scientifically and from a benefit of some over 35 years of spiritual experience in these things that there are spirits that are indeed unbalanced. And when they're unbalanced is when we consider them demonic, whatever, we want, whatever tag we want to put on it. But we have the ability to flood these unbalanced spirits with balanced energy. And they either have the choice to come back into balance and no longer be a problem, or they will stay away from us because they've developed some sentience and don't want to come back into balance.
Okay. All right. So I could see that. I still would probably say that they're probably being manipulated by something using their power to become that manifestation.
I would say ultimately you're correct.
Okay. So,
Or do they have sovereignty and freedom themselves? I don't know.
and that gets into that next question about free will. And I asked this question: if one possesses free will, can free will be conditional, or is it without limit and constraints?
Well, I'm thinking about the whole push in Christianity of submission, and specifically the wives submit to their husbands. So
And the
I
Pauline
think
doctrine.
the Pauline foolishness. But I think that a spirit can submit its will to another and give up its divinity, its sovereignty, and its freedom,
Hmm.
and essentially enter into, I guess, slavery or maybe just submission. Or is there a difference between slavery and submission?
Yeah, because that's that real interesting. Is it free will or is it the ability to make choice?
Hmm.
I don't know. Because when I think about free will, how can you give free will and say, but well, now wait a minute. That's like giving, someone a Ferrari, but saying, oh, I got the keys.
Right.
Yeah, you own it. Have fun with it. So it's constrained. It's conditional.
That's very interesting ponderings.
Because you see,
Oh, religion is a choice to be a slave, says Blazing River.
mm,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Yeah.
Because that gets into that whole thing then. If I have free will, well, then that's divinity, isn't it? Isn't
If I
that
have free
sovereignty?
will, yeah, that would be divinity.
Yeah. So when I think about these physical bodies, and I'm going somewhere with this, I was talking to an individual and they were dealing with some issues in their life. And I finally cut to the chase. I could see what the person wasn't wanting to talk about. And it started with her very young, in going through the Catholic schools and being pretty much, as she said, a very good Catholic girl. And she said she's always had in conflict of her physical body. And I said, there you go. I said, maybe it's just this simple. You're here. If this is death, and which I contend it is, this is the vehicle that we go through, then learn to explore it. Don't be ashamed of it. Appreciate it. It's the only interface that you have to this reality. So if there's any one thing, there's only one of you. And if there's only one of you, then Jeff, doesn't that make you unique? And if that makes you unique, doesn't that make you a god?
Yeah. I think you're right. And somebody in the chat room before somebody deleted the comment, I think it was a challenge, but it's an interesting question. How do you even know you have a spirit? How can you even prove you have a spirit?
Good question. Very good question.
Yeah.
And that is exactly. So how do you define spirit? How is it quantified? Who's defining it? Is spirit defined by consciousness? Is it simply being aware of self? Can a spirit feel pain or joy? Can a spirit see, walk, hear, speak? Does a spirit have a brain? How does it think? What's connecting the points? Can a spirit be in two dimensions at the same time?
Oh, that's a good one. I would contend it can be anywhere it wants to be, right?
Thank you. It's exactly what I think it can, unless it has a constraint on it.
Yeah, unless it has a constraint. Let's circle back to the Catholic girl again,
Yes.
feeling bad about her body.
Her problem was her sexuality.
Exactly. I knew exactly where you're going. And
Yeah.
here's something that's kicked around in my mind for 2019. If we know that love is the most powerful thing out there, and if we know that God is love, and I believe that we do, I contend that it's very possible that the closest that we can ever get to divinity in this plane, in this realm, in this existence is in that moment of before the orgasm and orgasm. If we can learn to master that and manifest that, that is our most powerful state of being as a human? And would this explain why religion has gone out of its way to dirty, sully, corrupt the idea of sexuality? There's things, the main things in the Bible that's against witchcraft and it's against sexuality. Do you think there might be a connection, because both of those teach you how to manifest and direct your own intention and walk into your own divinity, sovereignty, and freedom? Yes, I said it, Wayne.
Well, I'll just get even more right down to the nitty gritty. So in Christianity, you have in the coitus process, you have the missionary style, or which is more common in the Middle East countries, as I understand, is, how shall I say, coming from behind. Because it's a more natural.
That's also the way it is in Canada, Wayne.
Well, it's a much more natural.
Because that way both people can still watch the hockey game.
Well, it also gets through the debate of who's on top and who's on bottom.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Not sure how we got here, but.
Well, because people have a problem. The biggest hangups I see with most people are, in fact, their condition that they have been in their areas of their own body.
Absolutely.
And, you were saying something, their experience, I'd like to see today with the new technology that we have in making, filming that moment of intensity for a couple in the coitus process, and being able to film it from both an RF, infrared, look at all the different spectrums that we can now see and see if we can see something that's outside the aurora.
Interesting. But I contend, Wayne, that there are vistas to be discovered in the realm of learning to focus and direct that energy. Mm-hmm. And it may, in fact, be the key to our freedom from this dimension.
It may very well be, because they fight it. They fight it.
They fight it so strong. And I'm very glad to see that Lois gave herself a promotion and she's now Warrior Queen instead of Warrior Princess.
Yes, she did. Absolutely. Well deserving.
Well deserved.
Yes, well deserved. And I think it stymies the ability, I think, of releasing the mind. If you're so hung up on the body, then the body's going to be a blocker.
Absolutely.
People say,
why is pornography the multi-billion-dollar industry that it is? It's a direct assault on sacred sexuality.
Yeah. And isn't it the only graffiti that I've ever seen from 35 AD, right outside Jerusalem, it was on the Roman pathway, was pornography graffiti.
Interesting.
So,
and I contend, and when you put a comment in the comments, you do put it into the public forum, and I have the utmost respect for each of you that are here commenting, but I will at times talk to you about it. Someone, Atiana Marie, says, when you have an orgasm, you're giving your spiritual energy away and lowering your vibrations. Yes and no. First of all, let me say, if you believe that, you're not doing it right, but we'll get to that later. Right now, the way you're doing it, you are giving your spiritual energy away and you are lowering your vibrations. But, Ms. Marie, just because you're doing it wrong doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done. You can take that. You see, you already know that there's energy that you're giving. You already know that it has an effect on your vibrations. So if you can give it away and lower your vibrations, doesn't it make sense that you could direct it and raise your vibrations? Can I get an amen?
I can give you a high five. And to all the rest of the people, all I got to say is,
relax, calm down now. Don't stress. Take it easy.
All right. So we move right on along, because here is something. I know for a fact that there was a couple who wanted a new car and they could not afford a new car.
Right.
This couple found out a long time ago that two becoming one or more powerful than one standing alone.
I hate to say this, but didn't Jesus say where 2 or 3 come together?
I think he did. I don't know.
It's Jesus. It's not me. I'm just quoting scripture.
So in their lovemaking, they put the car they wanted.
That's right.
And folks, they learned the first step of sex magic, of
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't believe in this, what you don't want to do, make sure that you don't make yourself a sigil or have a picture of something you're trying to focus on or accomplish. Make sure that you don't have a magic word that represents that, and make sure that you don't think about it and focus on it at the point of climax, because if you do, you're going to screw up your theology, because it will work, like Wayne just said.
long in the they were given the car out of the blue. My
How
point
about
is,
that?
it works. It works.
And Wayne, what is the blue? You know, if you can imagine that moment of pleasure and power, the blue is a pretty good descriptor of it.
I think it would work really well.
So stuff does come out of the blue.
So talk about vibration. It's really the all right. The true magicians knew that point was where you could actually take from the ether and pull it in.
Absolutely. And Heather kind of jokingly says, so do-it-yourselfers keep their energy? No, they don't keep their energy, but it can be an individual sport, and you can still manifest and direct your intention through individual workings. Now, when you can get together, and really the first step of this whole thing, Wayne, should be learning to master and develop our own individual intention direction. Then we can move into working together. But yeah, it's both an individual and a team sport.
I read in one of the Zen masters who said that
Caroline's on the right track.
Yeah. The point is to bring yourself up to that moment of orgasm and then back away, and being able to control the entry.
Well, that's because you're building up the energy, aren't you?
Yes, the chi energy. You're really getting into and
Wow.
it works. It's powerful. It's powerful. It's powerful.
So, ladies and gentlemen, not your normal Sunday show.
Well, we covered from A to Z, but listen, I think so often all religion, there are a few that do not. I think Buddhism is one that, is Buddhism. It teaches that there is no wrong and there is no evil. If you're not hurting.
Danae reminds us that the word is synergy, and she's actually right. Synergy, combination of energy. I mean, and let's not go crazy, but one person's intention, powerful. 2 persons joining together, intention, powerful. And Jesus mentioned 3 or more, 2 or more. I mean, the more people that you can have together on the same intention at the same time. And think about right now, right this second, Wayne. It's 8:51 a.m. in the East Coast of the United States. And how many people right now, and I hate to throw this imagery out there, I don't really, but I'm just trying to be polite. How many people right now on this earth are engaged in autoeroticism related to pornography?
Oh, the statistics. It seems to be everywhere.
And think about the power and the energy that they're expressing and where it's going, who's getting that energy, who's using that energy, because the energy is going out. And think about if you could, I'm not going to be crazy, but say that we could turn around 10% of that, so that people, instead of putting that energy out to pornography and whatever eats off pornography, what if we could get just 10% of that energy directed towards positive manifestation for the good of individuals and our collective? We could change the entire world.
It would send a shockwave through this whole quadrant of space.
What did the Beatles say? Come together.
I look at this and I think sometimes we have to step back, and
that was the Beatles, right?
It was.
Okay.
And there's so much that's sucking the energy off of us. And I've got this weird thing. So I'm seeing this huge concrete wall, and it's got funnels coming out. You can't see on the other side of the wall, But this is the psychic energy, and pornography's got this huge one that they actually have to vow because it's so much. But you have the same thing in politics, religion, and
Yep.
it's sucking the freaking energy right out of us.
Yep. And Gary
You know,
Baxter brings up the nice one. All you need is love. Yeah. And I mean, if we want to go down that path, you know, we get by with a little help from our friends.
You know, it reminds me of the Coca-Cola commercial in the 70s, you know, the Hands Across America, you
Yeah.
know, and, you know, I think, again, we ought to start doing that. You know, today technology is such a dystopian, totalitarian, it's God. You know, I told Lynn, I said, you know, if you go to heaven, think about this. You're going to go to a place where someone's going to be watching you all the time.
So Wayne, who is eating all of that energy being expressed through autoeroticism via pornography?
I think it's part of the trap. I think it's feeding the force field. I contend that the field has been ripped, but they found a way to overcompensate it by this indulgence now, to where pornography, if you take it by most, pornography accounts for over 60% of all web traffic.
Let's bring it back. When we talked the Beatles, then maybe Elvis was trying to tell us something. We're caught in a trap. We can't walk out.
Yeah.
But we can. We just have to learn how to
on
walk out.
with suspicious minds.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, what? And it's suspicious. We got to get our mind right to get out of the trap.
Someone said you can achieve the same thing without sexual intercourse. Yes, you can. There is a thing that you can learn through breathing. But today the air is so filled with nanobots and everything, I don't know where you would go. But yes, there are other techniques that you can reach that same point.
Absolutely.
You know, we just use sex because Homo sapiens, that's what we love to do. We love to copulate. We have. That's how we copulated with the other species, the other genuses of man. Apparently, there was a lot of screwing going on, Jeff, back in the day between Neanderthals, Cro-Magnus, Homo sapiens. You know, apparently they were just out of boredom, I guess. I don't know. Anything but being bored.
Well, I mean, maybe they didn't know it, but they were somehow knew subconsciously the power that was there. And that, you know, they knew it almost you almost know it unknowingly.
I have a lot of Gilmores and ancient spells, and a lot of them use, you know, the sexual energy as part of the ritual. I wonder why.
Because it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And it works. And they're trying to keep us from knowing this. I'm telling you.
You know, when I talk about this wall and you see these funnels coming out, I contend that the force field has been down. I think there are those who have died post the atomic testing periods that have gotten free. I also contend and it's just me, it's a hypothesis, but I think they brought back rescuers.
And I agree with Maiden Mary and Wayne. Your 60% estimate's probably way low.
Yeah, Mary, that's so sad.
It is. It's
tragic,
it
is.
Really.
It's just like, oh crap.
But it makes perfect sense if my and this certainly is an original. If my theory that is our greatest power and our closest to being divine in this realm, if that's true, and they're trying to keep us slaves, then that's exactly what they would attack the most of.
Mm-hmm.
They would attack the most, period.
Yeah. And it's odd that, you know, we all remember, I grew up in the time of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you know, where sexual promiscuity was breaking out of the 40s, I would say post-religious impression.
Right.
And it's always that way, you know. Why is that? I don't know. Because there's a natural raw energy. It's tangible. I can tell you, there was one,
and if you can get it outside of the let's just call it the porn matrix, you can feel the purity and the power of it when it's not corrupted.
I dated a witch way back in the day, way back in this in the early 70s, but we could literally put our hands apart from each other about, an eighth of an inch and literally spark. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, you can do that yourself. I don't,
yeah,
you can actually feel that energy for sure. I've
yeah,
I've seen the sparks before,
yeah.
but boy, yeah. And even if we don't see them with our visual acuity here in this realm, know for sure that they're sparking and arcing and powerful energy exchange
Yeah, and particularly
taking
when two
place.
spirits come together that are charged.
Absolutely.
Woo! I mean, it's
I mean, if you can get aware folks manifesting their intention, I'm telling you, it will literally change the world. It'll take this world back.
I can't help it. I'm seeing Sean. Can you feel the power?
What would RW say about this?
Oh my, oh brother, you and I. Oh,
Well, I don't know about that one, Jeffrey. Go get me
but
some more taters.
I think he would be open-minded enough that I think he would sit down and have breakfast with you.
Yeah, I think he would.
Yeah,
I think I never had breakfast with him, but I had a lot of dinners with him.
yeah. It was
Well, that
always.
boy, that boy was lethal to a buffet. Let me tell you,
Oh man, he could eat anyway.
he could tear up a buffet. I'll tell you a little story, and this I wouldn't tell this if Brother Shambach hadn't already passed. But we were at a place. It was where was it? It was a Shoney's, I think, and it was all you could eat. And this was after the meeting, right? And Brother Shambach was taking it literally. He was eating. And they said to him, "I'm sorry, sir, but you can't have any more. You've eaten too much." And that didn't sit well with Brother Shambach. He's like, "That sign right there says all you can eat, and I can still eat some more." And he got so mad that he was going up like it was chicken and stuff. He'd take one bite out of a piece of chicken and get another piece and take one bite of it. "Oh, I can't eat more. Watch this." And yeah,
Oh,
they
you
finally
guys.
said, "Okay, sir, here's your money back." He said, "Okay, and give me a doggy bag while you're at it." True story.
Oh, those crazy Christians. You gotta love.
Oh yeah, but he got on the R.W. Shambach about lost his sanctification on that one.
Well, I never heard him speak on gluttony. I'll put it that way. It's
Dude, gluttony. That wasn't gluttony. That was an art form. I think he called that body ministry.
I think so. Probably so. Oh, and I'm sure there was one of the gifts of the Spirit working there. I don't know which one, but I'm sure it's one of them.
He moved in all 9, sometimes 10.
Woo, I'll tell you, Jeff, you look
A lot
back
of
on it.
throat punching in the chat room today. I'm not sure how that got started.
What's going on?
Throat punch. I keep saying throat punch, throat punch, throat punch.
You here for what is what? I don't understand.
And Lisa says the chat is making her blush.
Oh, well, Lisa, that's okay. You're
That's
quite
good for
beautiful
you.
already. It's
Get a
good.
good brush into your
You know,
cheeks and
gets-
make yourself look rosy.
And you know what? If people would laugh and have more of those experiences, it's amazing. It actually could help with the collagen.
Wayne, it's been a good show because Carmen Gibbs almost spit out her coffee. So, if you can have one or two of those moments, it's been a good show. And
Hey.
folks, life is a game. Those that are most successful treat it like a game.
Yeah, yeah. And have fun doing it.
Yeah, I know his name is Throat Punch, but there's also been people saying Throat Punch as well. Have fun doing it. Exactly. The people that are most successful, I think, are having fun doing what they're doing. Even if they're not successful spiritually, I think of Donald Trump. Yeah, he's been successful, but he loves doing what he does. I mean, just look at the way he loves toying with these reporters and stuff and just ticking them off. He's really enjoying it. And whether you like him or not, he did become president of the United States, which only 45 people have done. I would
And
say
you know what he reminds me of? John Travolta and Michael. Battle with the
I never
with the
saw that
bull.
movie.
Oh, well, you should. Andy McDowell just plays a delightful role, and it's a good movie. It's one you will enjoy. If you have Netflix, go watch it.
I will.
And you will see when Michael, who's the archangel that John Travolta plays, they're out in the middle of a field, and they suddenly, the party hears battle, and hears Michael taking on this bull.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and Michael says, I always love a good challenge.
That's awesome.
So
And shoot, I just missed, somebody said something and I missed it. I wanted to well, I lost it.
you lost it.
Oh, Bill Hicks, the comedian.
Yeah,
Life is a ride.
it is. It is.
He got it.
Could I say something, as we close out here, where my wife works is, she's the chief medical officer there. Jeff, there are way too many people in their 80s and 90s that are miserable.
Yep.
Mean, contrary, people don't want to be around them. They have to take care of them. But my question is, Jeff, do we want to end up like that? Those were people who did not laugh. They did not find life, those moments to put joy in. I don't want to end up like that.
No, me either.
No.
Me either.
No.
So let's be divine, let's be sovereign, let's be free, and let's make it. Life is a game. Let's play.
Let's do it.
Let's
and Jeff,
play.
I'm just going to invoke favor on everyone
Absolutely.
who stayed
Favor
with
on
us.
every single one.
Yeah, nothing missing, nothing broken. And it is shalom. That's what
it is
that's where it
shalom.
comes. Yeah.
What's a little definition? I used to know this. Perfect peace, because nothing is broken, nothing is lacking.
Yes. And
Speak
Proverbs
that on all of
says,
you.
better is a small morsel in peace than an abundance with a fault-finding, backbiting woman.
Absolutely.
In other words, peace, always peace.
Ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth?
Wayne, pleasure to be with you. Everyone in the
always,
chat
Jeff.
room, pleasure to be with you. We're giving you some things to think about this morning. And let's make 2019 our best year ever. Can we agree on that, Wayne?
I'm right there with you, my friend.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
All right, my brother. So good to see you. We'll talk soon.
All right, my friend. Bye-bye.